What's good, gang? It's your man Zen Master for Pass the Joint podcast here tonight with yet another episode of Straight No Chaser, your favorite new Dallas Cowboys podcast. We're a little skeleton crew tonight, but we expect to be joined by our co-host, Hoop Jargon, aka Cliff, and D Brown. Hopefully they'll join us soon. But as usual, we have our man, Joey Flosa, Italian American, to my left here. Joey, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Fall settling in, a little bit of a chill in the air, so to speak, and it's kind of nice. You know, we're getting down to nut cutting time in the NFL and college, and it's really, really exciting.
And how's the family?
Hanging in, man. You know, I got sons,
Mm-hmm.
so they're all grown, so I very rarely hear from them. You know, that's the thing, right? Like when you have daughters, right? Like at first with daughter, and I don't have any. I always wanted one.
I do.
But like at first, right? Like they're easier to deal with because like I had sons, and like all they're trying to do is kill each other.
Yeah.
All they're trying to do is sabotage each other, beat the living daylights out of each other. But like when your daughter, right, when she turns 18, then the real worry and being locked in kind of starts, right?
Yeah.
Like with my sons, right? Like this is the perfect example. Like if I had a daughter, and I had stepdaughters, and they could pretty much get whatever they wanted from me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If I had a daughter, right, like she could be 50 and I could be 70 and she could knock out, Daddy, I need this. Okay, baby. Well, I got you. Right. My sons, like say they turned 18 on a Thursday and they called me on a Friday to my pop, I don't think I can pay the rent. And I'll be like, Sally, you need to move. You know, like that's the complete difference with sons.
Yeah.
You know, and daughters. So, you know, my sons are doing real well. You know, I don't hear from them as much now because they're adults, but you know, they'll call, you know, Nick and Carlo and Lorenzo, they'll call every now and then. Hey, Pop, how you doing? You doing all right? Yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, that kind of thing. You got a girlfriend? Yeah, Pop. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right. You know, but I appreciate you asking, man, and I would like to ask you the same, man. How about your family, Big Cat?
Well, everybody's doing well. You know, you're absolutely right about at least my experience with a daughter. I do have a daughter who's 18 years old. She's my only natural born child. I had two stepchildren from my previous marriage. But she is exactly as you said, it was very easy the first 18 years. Soon as she landed at university, all of a sudden, sorry about that, I got my virtual assistant went off, but as soon as she landed at the university, boy, all of a sudden it was like, who is this person? It ain't been 2 months. She's home on her first break now from school, but man, me and her mom had to kind of corral her. Let's say for within.
It's a special kind of love.
Yeah, man, she got
special kind of love.
Got kind of greedy. I ain't gonna lie, but I want to salute our man Hoop Jargon. He's probably making sure he gets home safe, and that's the priority. He's also, you know, working very hard this holiday season. We understand Hoop Jargon is working in the industry that's affected by holiday, so we want to make sure we give our brother lots of love. Let you know we'll be here when you show up, my man. Same thing with UDB. But let's get into tonight's topic material, today's matter, and that is the Dallas Cowboys and their chances of making the playoffs. What is the reality? What does it look like? What's the real deal? So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and present a little bit of a show to you tonight. We got two things on deck. First, we're going to look at, it's basically a slide here. Let me put me and myself and Joey over to the side so we can talk to this. But, you know, on the left, you got the Eagles losing in week 14, which had they won, I'm not sure. Do you know if they would have clinched the division at that point?
It's no. It's and this is completely apropos. It is all about the Philadelphia Eagles and them stumbling to the finish. Period and point blank. All these dreams about, both the Lions and the Bears going 10-7, forget it. It's not happening. And the West, forget about that shit. I see like a couple of them already got 10 wins. All right. So The West is going to get 3, and somebody out of Chicago and Detroit is not going to make it. Nobody else is going to get more than their division winner in. And so the Cowboys have to win the division. They've got to win out, and they've got to hope for the 2 and 3 stumble down the stretch, which is something that we've seen. Now, I want to pull it back real quick when we talk about a path, okay? And the Cowboys, okay, listen, I was alive for every Cowboys Super Bowl. I only remember the 77 Super Bowl, okay? And then everyone subsequent to that. So many times as a Cowboy fan, and I think Steeler fan could probably relate to this. Certainly they can. And I'm going to reference them as I always do. I know I sound like a freaking closet Steeler fan because I got so much respect for Mike Tomlin. Well, I got so much respect for Mike Tomlin, and I have so much respect for the city of Pittsburgh. I got friends from Pittsburgh. It's just a great, great football city. Pennsylvania it's a lot like Texas. It's a great outdoor state with a lot of real macho, great sports fans. You talk about the Dallas Cowboys being 6-1 right now. Okay, we're talking about their path to the playoffs. Oh, okay, well, some would say, well, once they get in, they're not going to do anything. I'm going to cite a couple of examples. Okay,
yeah, we need to talk about trajectory when we start talking like that.
I'm talking about Baltimore started 5-4 in 2000 and won the bowl. I remember Pittsburgh was 7-5, one of the Tomlin Super Bowl years, and won the conference, if not the Super Bowl. They were 7-5. They were thought to be an afterthought. So, as I always say, and in regards to winning out and having the Eagles go 2-3, the same thing about getting into the playoffs and making some noise. If you're the Cowboys, something is impossible until it is done. Okay? I saw Pittsburgh be 7-5. Well, it's not really looking good, and they're 7-5. And next thing you know, them some bitches was hoisting the Hunt Trophy. They won the conference. Okay, now it was either the year that they beat Arizona.
We also went 12 and I think 12-1 one season, and nobody expected
it was
us to win.
It was there was one of the 2 seasons. It was either the one they lost to Green Bay in 2010, which Super Bowl was played here, or the 2008 one that they won. I think it was the 2010 one. They were 7-5, man. They were an afterthought, right? They backed into the playoffs, and they made a run and won the conference. Okay, Baltimore 5-4, won the conference. That year that Pittsburgh beat Arizona, Arizona was 9-7. They got rolled by 50 by the Patriots the last game of the season.
Anything can happen.
All right, something's impossible until it happens. So don't give up hope, Cowboy fans, because the hope is real, and it's all centered on Philadelphia. Forget Chicago and Detroit and the West teams. Forget that.
Flow. Let's take a look at this slide real quick, Joe. It says the old reality, a narrow path and fading hopes. Following a tough Detroit loss, playoff chances were described as slim. The primary path was crowded, an unlikely wild card race. Winning the NFC East was considered a long shot, with the Eagles holding a firm lead. There's a quote here from Let's Talk Cowboys. It says the best scenario for the Cowboys has always been winning the division. There is actually no hope for the Cowboys in the wild card situation.
There's really not. The hope is the division. And yeah, it's a long shot, but it's the only shot.
Can you explain? Because I know I'm
because okay, you're not going to catch anybody in the West. All right, them some bitches are going to fall into winning 11 games. I think Seattle's got 10, and I think LA's got 10. Okay, and I think San Francisco has 9, and they got some goof coming up like the fucking Titans this weekend. Those teams are going to fall into 11 wins. All right, so you have the 2 remaining wild cards in the NFC North. Okay, which consists of Green Bay, Chicago, and Detroit. Okay, I'm telling you right now, one of those teams is going to get in, and Green Bay will have a superior record. Okay, Chicago and Detroit have what over Dallas? The tiebreaker. Okay, it's not going to come down to some kind of wild card race with a team from the South. Only one team from the South is going to win. That's either going to be Tampa Bay or it's going to be Carolina. Carolina wins, it's no big deal. You should have a better record. If you get to 10-6-1, I'm thinking you will have a better record than Carolina. I'm projecting 10-7 for them to win the division. So, with that being said, you've got 5 teams, okay, fighting for 3 wild card spots. Okay. Seattle already won 10 games. San Francisco's already won 9. Okay, the Rams have won 10. They're leading the division. You've got the Packers, Chicago, and the Lions.
Rams are favorite to win the Super Bowl at this point.
They look good. You know, it's the funny thing about the Rams.
NFC.
No. It's the funny thing about the Rams is that they traded those picks to get Stafford, right? And so it was a couple of years, they didn't have a first-round draft pick. And I remember watching them draft, and I'll tell you what, I want to say this. I look forward to us doing a draft show. We're going to do it like nobody's business. All right. We're going to show people how it's done. All right. I've watched the Rams with no first round pick draft exceedingly well. They drafted exceedingly well. And now here they are. Why? They still got the QB. They still got the coach who's a freaking mad scientist, mad genius. I think, okay, I like Campbell a ton. It's either Campbell, McVay, or Reed are the best coaches to me. In my opinion, I'm also a D'Amico fan, and everybody knows about my love for Tomlin. They've got the right coach. They got the right quarterback, and their personnel department has been spot on. You look at Seattle. Seattle's defense has been excellent. They picked up Darnold. This kid from Ohio State, Jackson Smith, is hogging out. They got Kenny Walker 3. Okay, you know about San Francisco.
Smith and Jigba is that dude. He's that in Jigba, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. He's leading the league in receiving yards. He's a baller. Okay, like I said, man, if you're worried about what to do in the draft somebody in your front 7-row line from Alabama or Georgia, or draft a fucking Ohio State wide receiver. You can't go wrong. These guys come in and clown. So that's what you're facing. You know, the main thing is to get in, handle your own business. But I will say this.
Win the division or die.
Exactly. I'm going to say this. And I'm being very optimistic here, which is normally not the way I roll. From what I've seen from the Philadelphia Eagles, they have a tremendous chance to pull an El Foldo. There's a lot of dissension there. They're losing. When you're losing, these other NFL teams like beating you. I'm almost certain Buffalo's going to get them.
Joey, all right? It's just not easy to repeat Super Bowls. There's a reason people don't repeat Super Bowls. The physicality of the game wears on you even through the next season. Saquon is the best example of that. Saquon's the best example. He ran for a couple thousand last year, man. He's going to take a step down this year. I'm sorry. That's just life. You know what I'm saying? You look at their offensive line. They've lost Lane Johnson, best right tackle in the game, all-decade guy. Last night or the other night, Landon Dickerson, right? Okay, that would have been last night. Landon Dickerson, their all-pro guard, got hurt and came back in. And when he came back in, he looked terrible. And Jordan Mailata, their other great tackle, boy, he had his problems. There are problems in Philadelphia. Win your games, you have a chance. DB, I'm saying there's a chance.
Wow. I'm noting this.
Family, it is my pleasure tonight to introduce to you our illustrious co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, none other than D Brown, whose subtitle tonight is a little confusing. Maybe he'll clear that up for us. D Brown, what's the O stand for? Or is that 0? I can't tell.
Oh man, I don't know. I didn't even see that it hit for, but it's usually for OG because that's what a lot of people refer to me as because I'm an elder statesman in this joint.
There it is.
But how y'all doing, man?
I'm gonna go ahead and fix that for you. I'm gonna go ahead and fix that for you.
There it is.
Winning statesman up in this piece. You heard me.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
First of all, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. I was coming in from a biz road trip and caught a little bit of static getting here, but I'm glad I'm here. And I was really enjoying the input from my man Joey. Just when what he was laying down as usual. He was talking about sounds like walked in just a little bit on. Like I guess some possibilities of.
The first topic of the night, D Brown, is whether or not the Cowboys have to win the division in order to survive the wild card round.
They do.
And
they do.
What makes you feel that way?
Well, I just don't think they're going to be able to. There's too many moving pieces that have to happen for them to get into the wild card deal because of the wild card, the teams that are ahead of them and in the win column, and they're running out of games. And there's a lot, and they don't control that destiny anymore. They gave that up.
Yeah, they have the tiebreaker. Yeah, the teams that are with them. Yeah, I got a tiebreaker. Yeah.
Right. So that's so the only way they're going to be able to do it is literally like Joey was just talking about there before you brought me on, was they're going to have to walk down the Eagles, and the Eagles look like they're willing to at least give them that opportunity. To you just kind of tie on to the back end of Joey's point about the Eagles. That there's an ill wind blowing there, right? It looks a lot like the collapse of 23. It seems amazing when you've won a Super Bowl how distant that Super Bowl win makes that, but in reality that was just 2 seasons ago, and this was a season going into the 24 season before the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, before the acquisition of Mekhi Becton, before some of the drafting of the really nice young DB from Iowa,
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. I mean, Joey referenced
Brooks on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, Joey referenced some of the moves that the Rams have made and how well they've drafted and done things in free agency, and particularly, how they did work in the draft, even not having first rounders. Well, I would stick, I would place the genius of Howie Roseman right behind that, because that team was in shambles. That was a historic collapse. By them, if you think back, that Philly team started in 23, 10-1, and had miles on Dallas in the division, and Dallas walked them down and won that division at 12-5. Philly comes back at 11-6, and then they went out and laid an absolute egg in the playoff. And quite honestly, I see the same thing happening here. Now, I don't know that they'll give back. I think Dallas may still come up a bit short, but they do have a chance. And I don't think it's at all a foregone conclusion either way that Dallas runs the table, which is what they would have to do. And I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Philly wins out either. Right. I mean, you look at the paper thing, because they've got some divisional matchups that look favorable, but hey, man, it's just not right in Philly right now.
Is there another matchup between the Cowboys and the Eagles before the end of the season?
No.
Okay.
The opener was up at their place, and then of course the nice 21-point comeback was a couple weeks ago. And that's it. So
but they all kind of as happens at the end of every season. If I may interject real quick, they all kind of division out. Yeah. Right, like the Eagles have got DC twice. Yeah, we've got the Giants and DC.
The Giants and the DC, right? Yeah. So it always flows that way, and I mean, again, should Philly win those games? Predicated on what they have on both sides of the ball. Yeah, but I mean,
they should.
But it's and that's just a really realistic and pragmatic way of looking at it. But if you're watching the games as we do, it just doesn't look right in Philly, and it hasn't looked right for some time.
Defense is not the same without Carter.
No.
He had both shoulders operated on. Defense is not the same without Big Boy in the middle.
Yeah, it's there's an ill wind blowing. I think there's just it's just been disconnected all year, man. And Sirianni looks frustrated as hell. Jalen Hurts looks off kilter. You saw flashes of Saquon in that game last night, which is one of the wildest games I've witnessed in some time. But it's just going to be real interesting down the stretch from the Cowboy perspective if Philly gives them enough chances to walk them down. And of course, that's predicated on Dallas basically having to win out, because they really didn't have the ground to give. And we knew going into that Detroit game, but hey, man, Philly's keeping the door open. So we'll see how this crazy December rolls out and see if Dallas, is right there at the end to walk them down again like they did in 23.
Did either one of you guys think, I keep saying San Diego, did either one of you guys think the Chargers looked very good last night? I didn't.
I didn't watch the game.
I didn't think the Chargers looked all that good last night, which is encouraging on a lot of levels.
Yeah, there were times they looked pretty good in their defensive front seven.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about
Herbert.
the line play. I thought that was for me, man. I thought that was one of Justin Herbert's like really just like biggest soldier moments I think I've seen him in his career, man.
Yeah. But you expect him to be throwing the ball and dazzling and all that, man. But he really
he's
gutted
taking
it
off
out.
running. He's taking off running. He's
Yeah.
diving for first downs. He's juking people, to make a miss to and he's landing on that left hand, which hurts even on the snap, and he's taking hits. For him to gut it out like he did last night was pretty special. So that's one of those galvanizing things, for a team that's trying to, make their way and position themselves for a playoff push. So I was looking at my takeaway from that game, Joe, is did they look overwhelming? No. Did they look like a team from a matchup standpoint that could give this edition of the Cowboys some problems? Hell yeah, they do.
Oh yeah,
they do. And I think that's going to be every bit the dogfight that the games that we expected against Philly, against Kansas City, and against Detroit. I think the Chargers are going to be every bit that as tough as that game.
Good analysis, great analysis actually. Joey, anything to ice that cake with?
So the French top 10 defense. I'll tell you what, that Brian Flores, he is a fantastic defensive coordinator.
Yes, he is.
Hold on. Don't
is terrific.
Hold on, don't jump the gun. I take it you don't have anything to add to what D Brown's saying. But let's segue into our next segment. Joey gets a little excited sometimes.
I love it.
No.
We are not going to give you our predictions. We're going to say, damn it, I keep triggering the virtual assistant.
Ha, you clowns.
Let me turn that motherfucker off. We are not going to give you our predictions today. We're going to save those for Sunday morning. Make sure you tune in Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Cowboys Standard Time for the big show, all right? That'll be the pregame, the predictions.
Indeed.
We're going to try to work in the betting odds and everything for y'all, so make sure you tap in on Sunday. But as far as matchups, we can start talking about matchups, right? So,
well, that was the tie-in. Yeah,
we got a little SWOT analysis here in front of us, Joey. It's
nice.
Showing the battle of the strengths. The number 3 scoring offense in the league being the Dallas Cowboys versus a fringe top 10 defense, and the battle of the weaknesses being the Dallas Cowboys 31st ranked defense in points allowed versus the Minnesota bad offense. That's definitely in your favor, in my opinion. But Joey, having read that aloud, what do you think?
Well, I mean, they still got Justin Jefferson.
They do.
And I know he struggled a little bit. And I'm one of the few guys. I don't want to say one of the few, but I like JJ McCarthy, and they smoked DC. All right, and all they can do is play who's in front of them, and I get it. But the thing is that the tie-in is that as DB so adroitly stated, yeah, man, Los Angeles is a problem for us. They're a problem, man. I mean, it's not like they can't beat us, man. And Herbert was macho. You know what I'm saying? So to tie that to Soda, look, man, they just won 31-0. They still got Justin Jefferson. They still got TJ Hawkinson bumping around. And it seemed like McCarthy played with a lot of confidence. It's so funny because on local radio today, they jammed a mic in Jerry's face. And he kind of inadvertently said, oh, yeah, the Chargers, right? And everybody was like, oh, Jerry doesn't know who they play and all that. No, Jerry was watching that Charger game last night.
Yeah.
And that's what was on his mind. Yeah, I thought for a second, I was like, okay, I thought for a minute, like last week, that, okay, it was the Chargers and then the Vikings. But whatever the case may be, the Vikings present problems. They present problems. Talked about Flores and just why he has not gotten another head coaching job to me is very obvious. Okay, it's the lawsuit thing, and we all know that that's what it is. That guy can flat out coach. They don't have just a ton of stars on that thing. I mean, I like Van Winkle, the linebacker, a ton.
Joey's frozen up a little bit, or perhaps it's me. D Brown, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Joey's frozen just a little bit, so we're going to move on to D Brown and the next topic until Joey's able to come back. Pardon me for switching so much. But 5 keys to seizing the moment, D Brown. To turn opportunity into reality, the Cowboys must execute in 5 critical areas against the Vikings.
It doesn't matter who
There he
JC,
is.
you are in.
JC, you were gone for a while there, bro. I'm sorry, but you had cut out. So
Damn, I
we
wasn't
said
going that long.
it was long enough on air. So we had to move on. You don't want one thing, just a little housekeeping note for everybody out there doing podcasting, radio, whatever. The last thing you want on a show is dead air. You do not shut the fuck up and wait for nothing. You keep talking. All
Right.
right. So just general housekeeping and advice. But um, sorry that happened, Joey. It happened to me 3 times today in a fucking meeting, and I
Uh-huh.
was running at work. Exact same type of shit that happened to you. So I think there's gremlins out there today. But what I was, D Brown and I had moved on to this slide, and I'll begin reading again. The 5 keys to seizing the moment. To turn opportunity into reality, the Cowboys must execute in 5 critical areas against the tricky Vikings opponent. This isn't just about winning a game, it's about proving that they're ready to capitalize on the division title being handed back to them. The first of those 5 critical key elements: protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores is known for creative pressures and quote unquote weird stuff designed to confuse the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys' vulnerability: teams have found success with stunts against the Dallas young O line.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping Dak Prescott is upright is priority number one.
Indeed.
D Brown, what say you?
I agree. I think there's a lot of similarities in the potential challenges from scheme from what Joey, very, very aptly stated, in terms of Brian Flores. He is one of the finer defensive coaches that you'll come across in the entire league. And he's particularly adept at bringing um, those really, really, designer types of pressures and coverages designed to confuse and the quarterback get a ton of pressure, make him make the early throws and not let the quarterback be comfortable. There's a lot of similarity there in what Steve Spagnuolo does with Kansas City. Now, to that end, if you reference back to that Chiefs game, of course, you remember on the third play of the game, they did confuse Dak a little bit with like the stunts and the coverage and whatnot. He threw it early, threw an early pick. But to Dak's credit, Dak got to that sideline, got on the iPad. They made the adjustment, and Dak pretty much ate that pressure the rest of the game. Matter of fact, he was outstanding against it because it didn't stop. And he was really, really good at where he needed to go with the football and recognizing the coverages, changing, making the calling the correct coverages at the line, and going through his reads, knowing, okay, I see where they're coming, I see how they're coming at me, and this is how we're going to attack it. So, and it didn't stop his aggression whatsoever. So that's probably something to look for. But in terms of the priority of keeping him upright, if they're going to get out of that game with a win against that defensive coach, yeah, they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's, much like they were against Kansas City, and not the version that worked for them against Kansas City is the version of that O line that's going to have to show up versus the one that got handled pretty good in Detroit. So. That's going to be the challenge that remains to be seen. But in terms of the priority and what Dallas does ultimately well is keeping QB1 upright, and they're gonna have their hands full with Brian Flores, calling the defense.
Thank you for that amazing,
Yes, sir.
outstanding, excellent, expert, OG analyst take, Mr. D
Appreciate
Brown.
that, man.
I put a lot on that, boy.
I appreciate it, bro.
Joe Flo.
Bullshit. Not to what
Ooh.
DB said. Bullshit about it's not about winning a game. Bullshit. It's about winning a game. Again, not bullshit on what DB said. He was dead on. It's about winning a game. Win the Summits 3-2 if you have to. That's their only focus. Needs to be
Indeed.
winning the game.
W's.
Period. Just find a way to win it, man.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be kind of ugly. All right?
Mhm.
They're probably going to play better than people expect. despite their 5-8 record. All right. It's look, McCarthy's out there trying to ball, man. All right, he's out there trying to play. All right, if you think that Brown popping off in Philadelphia to get more targets, right? Justin Jefferson doesn't have to say a damn thing. I promise you, everybody in that building is saying, "Hey, drop back and find 18. Find that guy." All right, and when you can't find him, find Hawkinson. All right, so they're going to come loaded for bear, and yes, everything that you said in terms of the normal standard keys of the game, or everything that was stated in the graphic in regards to keys to the game, yeah, man. I mean, certainly, you've got to have the objectives to meet the goals to achieve.
The first key we were talking about, Joey, just to remind you, was protecting the quarterback, keeping Dak protected. Could you speak to that, please?
Yeah, here's the thing. That's always the must. You saw how he played last week. 5 sacks. He wasn't protected last week. He didn't have his best game. Okay, period. All right. The pressure led to turnovers. There were mistakes and stuff. But obviously, yes, you give up 5 sacks, man, it's a bad day for your offensive line. And he didn't run the ball particularly great, which, again, helps in protection in that. And you talk about protecting your quarterback just in general in the way that you run your offense, and you run it very balanced, which is what Schottenheimer has done. They did not protect the quarterback last week. 5 sacks, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Okay, if they give up 5 sacks this week and have 3 turnovers, they're likely going to lose. If you give up 5 sacks, you're likely going to lose. They've got to protect the guy and keep him upright. But the main thing for them.
Joey?
Yeah, did
you see anything consistently?
They lost Lamb and had a hard time getting open after that. That was part of it. Okay, when they lost Lamb, guys weren't as wide ass open as they were previously.
That is very true. The second he went out of the game, it was a different ball.
It's a different because he was clowning. He was dealing. And that's what he does. And we talked about it and we said, hey, it's gonna come back around again, man. And you're gonna see that yes, Pickens is very good, but Sedarian is still Sedarian.
100%.
Okay? He's a proven top 3 receiver in this league.
1A guy.
All right. Yes, he's the number 1 guy, man. And again, we've seen Pickens in some spots do well without him, but I think that was the big problem is that they had difficulty getting open. And for whatever reason, that fumble got in Ferguson's head a little bit. After that happened, man, they've got to get more out of him. If you don't have Lamb, you've got to be able to, go opposite sides with Pickens and Ferguson and figure out a way to make something happen. I think they've done real good with their blitz pickups. They kept tight ends in many times to make sure that Dak is protected. That's going to be a factor Sunday night. They're going to have to do that again to keep him upright because, he threw for a bunch of yards, man, but that's not a steal. He was sacked 5 times, and they had 3 turnovers, including 2 interceptions. Now, one of them wasn't on him, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. The fact of the matter is any quarterback does better when they're not getting sacked 5 times in a game. So, they got to fix that shit. And they got injuries at left tackle.
Sacks are what you would call not the leading indicator, but the trailing indicator of defensive pressure, right?
Yes.
So the only way that you measure defensive pressure, the only way you really need to is by sacks. And you can judge the rest of the defensive line by how many sacks. The whole line.
Yeah, and completion percentage too. That's a big one. And so it also gets back to what we said. Once Sedarian went out, the guys weren't getting his wide ass open, man. All right. You don't think he was up there killing him like that and they didn't start bracketing him and doubling him? Of course they did.
Yep.
Of course they did. Then he goes out. Who does it fall to? Well, it falls to Pickens. But there's other guys too. So in addition to the poor play of the offensive line, losing CD hurt dramatically because guys weren't getting as open. And that was another explanation for it.
All right, well, moving on to the next key. The defense simply must not suck. Reality. Dallas's defense has been horrific. Again, 31st in points allowed, 29.7 PPGs is pretty bad. EPA 31st, passing yards allowed dead last in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
All they got to do is be average against J.J. McCarthy, and that should be the goal here. Just don't fuck up.
They're not talking about rushing yards no more. I noticed that. And here's the thing: when offenses put up a lot of passing yards on you, man, a lot of times it's either a shootout or they're fucking behind. So this is a different defense than it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we look at all these stats from a distance. I noticed there was no isolation of the run game because the defense against the run has gotten significantly better.
Point taken. DB, your take on the defensive situation not sucking, just be average.
Well, I mean, man. So I love the caption and the point. And to Joey's point, it is an improved defense, but here's the lens I'm looking at this thing through, to the point and what happened that kind of brings some focus as to where Dallas is still not, right? So that defense was obviously energized with the arrival of Quentin Williams. They get Overshown back, and Logan Wilson has been solid, and they get Malik Cook in the back end. But the Detroit game, and even a little bit in the Kansas City game, because Kansas City did put up a lot of points. But they made enough plays. But the Detroit game kind of brought it back into focus of just what Dallas lacks, right? To to be taken seriously from a consistency standpoint as it relates to this playoff push, right? Or the push to try to get into the dance. That the linebacking play was abysmal against Detroit, just utterly abysmal, and they weren't particularly good in the back end as well. So there's just going to be, I think Dallas still has very glaring holes that competent, not even necessarily great offenses can take advantage of. Now, if they're able to generate pressure, kind of like they did when the Quentin Williams trade happened, then that equalizes a lot of things. They missed Jadeveon Clowney a lot against Detroit.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot.
That
was, Jadeveon had really started to put it together during that streak, and even a little bit beforehand. Even in the game that they lost against the Cardinals, Jadeveon Clowney was very present and impactful even in that game. So not having him was really glaring, and I haven't seen what his status is, if he's out for a long term, if he's going to be out against the Vikings. But
they're supposed to know tomorrow.
Okay, I'm hopeful that he's able to at least to get 30, 35, maybe 40 snaps, enough to bring the impact that he's brought, which has been, you talk about bang for the buck. Well, Dallas, I think that definitely got it, because you didn't know what was going to get from the guy coming off his couch. But Jadeveon Clowney's contributed. So they're going to need all hands on deck. They're going to need those guys available to make that difference, just to get to decent, to the point in the caption, and not suck. And that's having Clowney available. That's being better in the front seven, and certainly, being solid in the back end. But I think getting Clowney back, they're going to have to win a little bit better than they did. Talking about the interior, when Williams, Odigizua, and those guys in the interior, I mean, the guys that are there are going to have to, just man up and win their matchups so that they don't suck.
Joey, anything you want to add to DB's take? You got your own take on them not sucking, that beyond what has been said, or you good to go on what we see here? I know you talked about the running game is not being mentioned, but anything you wanted to add before we move on?
Clowney will help. There's no question about it. He was playing very, very well for a few weeks now, and all of a sudden you don't have him. It's like, damn, we miss him. It's when he's not playing, other people eat up the minutes, okay? And they're not as effective in those extended minutes. He helps Sam Williams. He helps Ezraku just by being there, okay? Yep. This guy is an excellent edge-setting run defender, all right? That's one thing he's been very consistent about. And if you project, sacks per game and that, His sack numbers are up. All right. He's
Mhm.
actually coming off the corner better, or as good as he has at any point in his career. And I don't think he's been a double-digit sack guy very much, but
Right.
he has been producing in terms of the numbers. And you've got to get a team in passing situations in order to do that. You do that with your offense, okay, by scoring. When you show people you can score, man, it's a big deal. You saw Harbaugh called that game differently when he realized that the Eagles were having trouble scoring. Yeah, man, 4th and 3. Analytics say go for it. Nah, I'm going to go ahead and kick the field goal and tie it up. These guys can't hurt me on offense. NFL
Right.
coaches see that shit. They're smart. They know. All right. Once he saw that, he said, I'm going to play it this particular way, and we're going to eke one out. Okay, which that's essentially what they did, is eke one out. All right, because his whole strategery, as W used to say, was dictated by the fact that the Eagles were going to have trouble scoring. And the way that the Chargers play defense, and I'll wrap it up and land the plane like this. The way the Chargers play defense, okay, was the old, all right, man, when they got the pick in overtime, it was the old, all right, man, you got 13 plays to get this motherfucker. We ain't giving up shit deep. At some point in these 12 or 13 plays, the philosophy is you're gonna make a mistake. Okay, that's the old bend but not break defense. They
Right.
played it like that. We saw it, and then we had a group text and stuff, and me and DB both said at the same time, as soon as Sirianni threw that damn screen, we said Sirianni's fucking crapping his pants. He's freaking out.
Yep.
Oh shit, let me do a low risk deal. Well, here's the thing, man. When your QB is struggling, the defense knows. Oh yeah, here they go with that fucking shoot screen shit. Here they go with these short passes. They know, and they're keying on it. All right, and the Chargers defense did a good job of doing that, and I think that's what you're going to see. The Raiders. Okay, so they play the Raiders. The Raiders, you would think, don't pose much of a threat, and they probably don't. But those Raider defensive coaches and offensive coaches are going to be like, look, these guys don't – points come from the passing game, all right? These guys don't scare us with their offense. We're going to play it a certain way, all right? And, yeah, Philadelphia should win this game. But, hey, man, they are in a bad way right now, which, again, and I want to throw it back to the distinguished members of the panel. As DB said, you also have to look at, okay, what's the realism of possibility of winning out? That's not a guarantee. Now DB's like me, he's a long-time Cowboy fan. I mean, how many times was it, well, they're 6-4, right? And then they fucking run the table and get in the playoffs and it's on. You know what I'm saying? No problem. No worries. Well, first, win all your games. And we would just blow that off. Oh, yeah, they got that.
Hey, strength of schedule.
They got that. It might not be like that right now this year.
Strength of schedule is a thing. Luck is a thing. Anything
Yes.
can fucking happen.
That's
I
true.
don't want to wish anything on anyone, but Bo Nix and Drake May could both break their fucking legs tomorrow, and the Steelers could win the Super Bowl. It ain't likely, Isaiah. Sorry about
Right
that,
on.
Isaiah.
Right
But
on.
anything can happen any given Sunday.
That's very true.
I understand that fighting spirit, especially when you're in the hunt, which is why, as a Steelers fan, we've taken almost a decade to get to the chance that you all heard about that. It takes that long for a fan base to start losing hope when the team is showing signs of progression. And I don't want to rat hole. So without further ado, thank you for that, Joey. I want to get into the next topic, the next key for the Dallas Cowboys and their quest to become a playoff team this season. Again, we're identifying 5 keys tonight, and we're also going to watch a little video breakdown and give our take on that video breakdown. But key number 3, Dak has to deliver an A game. He has been pretty good this year, playing at a top 5 to 10 level, leading the NFL in passing yards. Also, number 1 QBR ahead of Mahomes, Stafford, and May. A B game from Dak is going to get you beat this year. This is a quote. This is framed as an organizational failure, but the reality is Dak must play at an MVP level in order for Dallas to win. DB, you agree or disagree on that take?
It's pretty close, and it's been that way from opening week, right? I mean, it was pretty evident really early on that this defense, and this is pre Quentin Williams trade, the defense just didn't have it. And as a matter of fact, I know specifically when we got to maybe the Chicago game, and we were making the point then that okay, if Dak and this offense, they don't play lights, like their margin for error is none. If Dak and this offense don't play, lights out, where he's not playing like the aforementioned MVP level,
Yeah.
and that run game is going, and as Dak is doing his thing and getting to his reads and making the calls at the line and just being that stud that he's been for most of this year, and has the proverbial off game, we saw that result. We saw it in Chicago, we saw it in the Arizona game, we saw it in Denver, Carolina, right? So, and not that Dak really just had this precipitous fall in most of those games. It wasn't spectacular. Where if you're leaning, 17 weeks, a 17-week journey in the NFL, you're not playing spectacular football every week. You're not.
No, that's tough.
There's the defense gets hot for a few weeks. They put together some games and they're doing their thing. Typically, if you've got some balance there. In Dallas's case, Dallas has been so imbalanced all year in terms of expectation of performance, where offense is expected to do their thing, and it's that's substantiated by the stats, right? But it's literally not even a week-to-week thing, man, but a quarter-to-quarter thing with this defense, right? It's like every good quarter you get, you're almost kind of exhaling like, they did all right that quarter. What are they going to do the next quarter? You know what I mean? So because of that imbalance, I think it supports the point being made of Dak having to play at just a superlative level for them to win the games. Because and again, this is supported by results. Look at the games that they won. They needed Dak to play literally at that level to beat the Giants in week 2.
DB, let me give you a quick little nugget.
To pull that tie against Green Bay.
Let me give you a quick little nugget,
the games
DB.
they pulled out against the Eagles and the Chiefs. Dak had to be that guy to win those games. So I think the point is pretty well substantiated that, yeah, he's pretty much got to play at that level, because a B game from him probably does get him beat. Fair point.
Can you hear me, DB?
Yes.
I think it's different now a little bit.
1 second. Joey, let me throw you guys this one little nugget to add on to exactly what DB said, and you can go ahead and take off from here.
Sure.
The Minnesota Vikings currently have the 3rd best red zone defense in the NFL, to add to the pressure that Dak must face. So, Joey, again, the topic and the question here is, does Dak have to play an A game, or can he get away with a B game and still walk away from this matchup against Minnesota?
Cliff always says, they can't get Dallas touchdowns, field goals.
100%.
They've got to score touchdowns.
Yep.
Against the South, and that's
keeping off of Brandon Aubrey's leg is what we're saying.
Well, I mean, he's a weapon, and I still think that, whatever analytics say, to me, when you get a gift, you take the field goal. All right, it's coaches differ on this, and that's fine. All right, the main thing is when you get in the red zone, you got to convert. All right, but also too, you have to realize, I don't think, again, and this is nitpicking, I don't think that Schottenheimer, when he went for it against Arizona early on, I'm sorry, you just don't do that. You're the better team. You just do not do that. You play it chalk, play it straight, wait for these bastards to flinch when you stare them down at a stalemate, and that normally happens, man, when you're the better team. All right, and again, it's going to be the same kind of setup. You are the better team than Minnesota. Maybe not by much, but you're the better team.
Agreed.
All right, and you're at home, and you've got to take advantage of all of that. I think that with the defense, okay, let's look real quick back at that Detroit game. You had 2 turnovers that gave them the ball, one at midfield the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, they gave it to him inside the 10. That's 14 points you got off of turnovers. You had a 21-yard punt return. They gave him the ball at Dallas 40. You had a couple of kickoff returns. One that gave them the ball at their own 43, and the other one, in the worst time possible, gave them the ball at the 48. Okay, so from that, we can reasonably conclude that at least 21 of the points were when the defense was put in a shit position.
Terrible.
Absolutely. A crappy position, all right? So take 21 off of what they got, it's 30-23. Now, we know that you can't do that, and that's not the way reality works, okay? But even again, you'd have to take away the turnovers, but still, even with the pressure, that, when Dak is throwing for 370 and 2 picks and getting sacked five times, it's not a good game for him. That's just not his stilo. Now, can they win when he goes 17 for 27 with a $190? No turnovers and 1 touchdown? Yeah, they can. The defense can keep them in a game like that, I firmly believe. And, of course, at that point, Javonte Williams in the run game, but Malik Davis, they really got to step up. But, yeah, they can win with a B game from him. It just depends on what kind of B game is it. Is it light numbers or is it heavy picks, but still 350? Okay? You can call that a B game too. You can call, 17 for 27 for $190 a B game. They can still win with that. The thing for them is balance and not making mistakes. And they got to get that damn kick coverage fixed. It's a problem.
100%.
So, Joey, does Dak Prescott have to play an A game in order for them to win and be successful against Minnesota, or can he get away with a B game?
I think he could get away with a B game. I don't want him to, but I think he can get away with it. But, man, we already know once you get to the playoffs, and hell, trying to win these games on the road down the stretch, you really can't really afford any B games with them. If they're going to go 7-1 in these games that we talked about from the time they were 3-5-1, if they're going to go 7-1, yeah, man, Dak needs to pretty much play lights out to achieve a record like that. The thing is, now they have a defense that they can rely on somewhat, that can get them some stops. That defense, and I'll land it like this, they still only gave up 20 first downs. They only gave up a $109 total rushing. It wasn't like Detroit ran all over them. They ran what they needed to. But it wasn't like they ran all over them. I think the defense took a little bit of a bad rap, although they had their problems, certainly in the back seven, and with the lack of pressure. That definitely hurt. Ravel came down to earth. But I think they can be counted on to help you muddle through, especially a game like Minnesota.
There you have it. Moving on to the next topic as Joey clears his throat. Oh, have mercy, babe. Key number 4 of 5. And unfortunately, we got to preview 5 while we're at it, but we'll stick to one at a time the best we can. George Pickens bounces back. The context, Pickens had a poor performance against the Lions where he left plays out there. And I saw it, and it was absolutely true. He was dead fish. The need. With Flores likely to deploy unique coverages, Dallas needs to make its number 2 wide receiver. Dallas needs its number 2 wide receiver, that's debatable, to make plays that come his way. So, in other words, George Pickens, take advantage of every opportunity that comes his way as a key to them beating this Minnesota team. We'll go with Joey on this one to begin with. Joey, George Pickens' performance.
It needs to happen organically. I don't think you need to force it, especially if you got Lamb back, which I'm hoping you got Lamb back.
Right.
All right? First, needs to step up. The thing with Pickens needs to happen like it's happened all year, man. It needs to happen organically.
Yeah.
The way the coverage is being pulled, he comes through. All right? It's almost to a much lesser extent like what DB and Cliff talked about with Turpin. Turpin comes off when the rest of your go-to shit is working.
Right.
Okay? In order for Pickens to come off, because, again, he's a 1B guy. All right? Somebody's probably going to, like I said, I believe Tennessee's going to give him $30+ million, whatever. What does that portend for his future? I don't know. I don't know that Ward is as good of a quarterback as Dak. You certainly shouldn't say that right now. Okay,
No, he's
again,
not.
and he doesn't have anybody on the other side pulling the coverage.
Correct.
Okay, plus he's got a good tight end. All right, so yes, Pickens needs to get going, but it needs to happen organically.
Joey, what do you think about how he handled things in post game?
That's tough, man. You lose a game, and okay, I don't know if y'all remember this when you remember with Garrett Blunt when
Oh man,
the
you gotta bring that
dude
up.
from like the idiot from Boise State or whatever got into
Right.
his face and was screaming. You know what I'm saying? Or if you remember your guy Jabril Peppers when that idiot Ohio State fan ran up on him. Man, don't run up on me after no damn loss. Seriously, dude, we just got worked. And you'll come and say, oh, man, Pickens did come through, and all this type of stuff. And you're a dog pile of man like that. Yeah, he's going to fire back. Was it a little immature? Yeah, man, you could have taken the high road. But you know what, man? Look, I'm going to say it like this. In the words of Chris Rock, I understand.
I ain't saying he should have did it. I ain't saying he should have did it.
Yeah.
But I understand. And we'll throw it back
Great
to
reference.
DB.
I understand.
DB.
Yes, sir.
Last week's performance was not great.
No.
I do think they focused heavily on him early, which enabled CD, and that was likely game plan. And he felt like he could take the day off.
Yeah.
I don't think he can get away with that now. And it's hard to get going 3/4 or into a football game. Oh, now all of a sudden I got to get going.
Correct.
So your take on what George needs to do this week upcoming?
I would liken it, being a basketball guy that I am, I liken it to a situation where you got a guy, you got a shooter, got a guy, that can put it in the bucket, right? So most good coaches, when they see their guy is struggling and the guy that they know that they need to get it going, you call plays that he feels comfortable in and that you get the positive result. And so, and again, it's not a forced thing. I like Joey's point about it being organic, but guess what? You can be organic, aligning a formation where he's got one-on-one in that slant and you throw that slant to him, and he catches the ball, he makes a play, he makes a guy miss, he turns an 8-yard slant to a 15, 17-yard play, and he gets up and he does his deal, and now mentally he's back into it, right? So I would do some plays where you get him some early looks. Hell, I'd even throw him a hitch, just to let him go, make a guy miss. He's tough after the catch, just to get him in it, because Pickens seems like, as we've gotten to know him as Cowboys fans, because we get to see him up close every week, Pickens seems like one of those guys and one of those personalities, and this is kind of based on, the post-game crash out, if you will, that's kind of brought back the memory of whatever the static was in totality in Pittsburgh, right? But just watching him, he seems like one of those guys where if you have a situation like that, like with the post game reaction, and you saw where he didn't like it, it looked as if he was just checked out, and he didn't look right all game to me. Right, he didn't look good coming off the line. He didn't look good in his routes. There was some plays out there. He was like, but you give a little bit harder effort, you go for the ball. So what do? You don't let a guy like that, if he's in that space mentally, I think you take every opportunity in organic fashion, to Joey's point, but I think you take every opportunity to get that guy back acclimated and involved, because the more he's detached from it, say, for example, if he gets through the entire first quarter and hadn't seen a ball or hadn't caught a play, then I think Pickens seems as though that's one of those where the carryover festers, right? And now you're looking on game 2 carrying over, and the Cowboys can't afford that. He's too instrumental in their attack. When George Pickens is going, that offense is as unstoppable as it is when you've got 88 on the other side. He's involved, acclimated. They're dapping up. They're bigging up at each other. Then you got Big Jake going in the middle. But Pickens is a very mercurial energy guy, it seems like. So you want to get him going early to help get the bad taste of the down performance of last week, because he's been up pretty much all year.
I think you can describe Pickens as a vibes guy.
100%.
Yeah, you know,
100%.
and when he's not getting it, it takes him back to fucking Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
I don't blame him.
It
just
takes him
Pittsburgh probably
back
fucked him up,
to
to be
that
honest with you. We ain't
point
had
in
a
time.
quarterback since
You
Ben
know,
Roethlisberger's, 3
right,
years before he retired. We ain't
right,
had a quarterback.
right.
We fucked up a lot of wide receiver talent in the last 10 years. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie.
so I just think I think the vibes point Zen is perfect, and he's again that's been kind of the fun part of getting to know him from the fan perspective, and just the way we look at it as a player is like, hey man, when that guy's vibe is right, to your point, when he's vibing, and him and CD are going back to the huddle and they're doing their deal and all the things and he's vibing off the fans and he's one of those guys where if that energy is right, he's unstoppable. If it's off, then it can look like it looked against Detroit. So get that vibe back right because vibing Pickens is good Pickens and good Pickens is very a very instrumental thing to Dallas's success because they need him. If they're going to do anything in terms of closing this thing
yeah,
out on a run, he's got to be right. So get him going early.
There you have
yeah.
it.
Which
DB, Joey.
no, I'm just saying it ties directly into you know when receivers want the football. Everybody says this all started with Michael Irvin and all that, man. Well, Michael Irvin wanted the football, man, because getting it to him helps you win, right?
Well, I mean,
And
receivers are
Pickens is
they're
is
fighting
and
each other
Pickens.
too.
Well, Pickens he's that kind of talent. Get it to him, man. It does help you win. I mean, the guy makes big chunk plays in the passing game, and that's where, in the words of Ron Jaworski, points come from the passing game, in between the 20s. All right, you got to have those chunk plays, man. You may get down to the red zone and run it, but you got to have those chunk plays. And luckily, in this case, yeah, man, when you're able to get it to him, okay, it helps your football team win. That's the whole idea. It's been taken to another level with this diva shit and cats wanting the ball. And everybody just assumes that they want it for money and for the spotlight in that. Well, when Michael Irvin started all this, get it to me because I can't do nothing without it. It was about winning. That's what it's about. And as DB said,
I can't dismiss the ego part because I got to compete against not only every receiver in the league, but the motherfuckers on my team too. If I'm AJ Brown, this is why AJ Brown was pissed off, and we talked about it earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown was pissed off because look, man, I'm trying to make the motherfucking Pro Bowl,
well,
and you ain't giving me the ball.
Well,
right.
getting it to the 6'4", 225-pound AJ Brown, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. I like AJ Brown a ton. And I think, yeah, man, they've kind of fed it to him. We've watched them play here a little bit, and they've kind of fed it to him. The results have been somewhat good, although we saw Hurts drop that damn on last night when they could have really used it. So, if you're going to push it that way, you got to come through. Okay. And again, like I said, getting the ball to AJ Brown, man, this helps you win. Getting the ball to George Pickens, this helps you win. That's the whole idea, right? I mean, but again, like they need Sedarian back in the worst way.
Yeah.
And I believe he'll be back. I think, how the NFL is. They're gonna make him come back through hell or high water, to be honest with you. And you're dealing with the most powerful owner in sports in America. He'll be back. I don't think we have much doubt about that. Moving on to key to victory number 5 against those Minnesota Vikings. Skull, if you're up there in Minneapolis. Start hot and finish drives. There's a wild stat we got in front of us, fellas. The last time the Cowboys have had a first quarter lead was in October. That's a long motherfucking time.
It really is.
The matchup problem. Dead league average in red zone efficiency. And we mentioned earlier that the Minnesota Vikings are the 3rd best defense in terms of red zone efficiency. So that's not a great matchup for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get out fast and early and off. And D Brown, your take on start hot and finish drives.
Well, I agree because when you before you mentioned the stat, I'm sitting there thinking, shit, man, Dallas has really had to claw back into games, and overtake people to get the wins that they've got, and then you can get the stat that supported it. But I get having seen this stat, as far as the Vikings are concerned, being as good as they are in the red zone, so it's very it's very low hanging fruit to say they got to do better in the red zone. I think more specifically is they're gonna have to get some help from their coach, from their offensive play caller as well. Um, there was a couple of games that I can think of. Denver, the Cardinals. There was some. That part of it has been. If I want to go on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as Shotty's creativity and not necessarily overthinking it, but just having a pulse and having a feel of getting it done to be able to finish those drives and making those calls, particularly inside the 10-yard line. That's probably been a 6.5 on a 10, right? You want it to be better than that given the personnel that you have. And I think, things like very simplistic, but I think, the ability is there. They got to do more with play action on first down, right? Because, when you've got, and I think you had work play action on first down with a heavy package. When you've got, and we actually saw him score a touchdown off of it, the Span Fords of the world, the Lepkes of the world, use your heavy package and work play action off of that. Yeah.
Hey, McVay is doing that right now, big time.
100%.
He's running a bunch of 31 with a bunch of big guys and bunch packages and shit.
Right.
And it's working. And you don't expect that from him, but it's working.
Yeah. And so I think the tenet there is start hot and finish drives. Yeah, they do. They need to get a fast start and finish those drives, but it's the way they're going about doing it. And I think they're going to need a nice, healthy push and some input from Shotty to do that, because as we saw yesterday, it almost bit the Chargers in the ass. I mean, Philly was begging him to beat their ass, and they just refused to do it. Kicking the Cowboys, kicking the Cowboy touchdowns, kicking the field goals, giving the ball back, what have you. So when those opportunities come, they've got to be efficient. And to Joey's earlier point tonight, they got to score they got to score grown man TDs and get sevens and put sixes on the board instead of the relying on Brandon Aubrey and keeping the thing tight, because the longer that game goes, I think Dallas across the board is a more talented team, but the longer that game goes, they're hanging in it. The confidence rises, and we all see how these things get really, really crazy at the end, like we saw last night. So that I think there's going to be a big key, and Shotty's going to have to help them do that in order for them to be successful.
I think the bottom line from D Brown is quit being bitches.
Quit being bitches. Take the bitch out your blood. Don't be a hoe.
Well, and it's what you talked about with getting Lemke and Span Ford involved. Span Ford is a giant man.
Yes, he is.
That's a massive dude. He's 6'7", 275 fucking pounds. Lemke's another big bastard. You want to solve your fucking runs? You want to solve your red zone problems? Run the ball.
With that guy, that guy,
run the ball, man. Yeah. And you can throw out of that. And like what DB's saying, the play action on first with those big 31 packages with Lemke and fucking Ferguson and Span Ford, all in the game at the same time, right? And because you can play action out of that, because Span Ford has showed himself to be a capable receiver, and Lemke is a capable receiver on short throws and play action throws. When you fake that wham block, if you listen, the teams that have the best success in the red zone, period, run the ball. They run it when they get in there. We talked about points coming from the passing plays. That's the chunk plays. That's between the 40s. All right. That's where you get down in position to put the squeeze on their ass and run the ball. And that's when exactly what DB said in terms of play action on first down becomes extremely viable. It becomes the move. But you've gotten into the red zone and you've shown that commitment to the run game and shit. What we talked about with these guys, the Lemkes, Spawn Fords, Shoemaker to a lesser extent, right? These cats that you could stick in there. They could put Mingo in there. He's a big guy, good blocker, bunch package type of a guy. This play action stuff starts to work out of those packages because it's a heavy run look. You know, they come out and you
The
got
look is
Span,
what gets you. Exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. You got Spanford. Whenever they put Mingo in, I'm thinking they're going to run the ball because, like, he's a good, he's 6'4", he's 215, he's a blocking wide receiver. So, you know, you try out a package, man, with Mingo and Sedarian and Spanford and Ferguson and Lemke, right? You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, you got this heavy package that you can run out of, but you should be able to play action, particularly on first down out of.
Yep. First down is a down they've not really been as efficient on as the season got further into after game 5, game 6, and it's the look. And to me, that play action on first down with a heavy set look, right? That you know, when you're running, like I said, these two huge tight ends, you've got Lipke, you know, and you're showing that package, and you get, so now you immediately got these linebackers and these safeties ready just to plug that and just try to stop this thing. And then you slip one out of the back somewhere or what have you, or even move the pocket slightly, just slip that right behind them. And it's to me,
they played behind the sticks.
Right. Yeah. It's the football version of screen and roll. It works.
Yeah.
Because you're making that
they
defense
played behind the sticks the whole season. Yeah. They played behind the sticks the whole season, both on offense and defense. Even in this run, they were trailing. And like DB said, they played behind it. And Clip would say they played behind the sticks.
Yep.
All right. And it's like, okay, man, it's real fucking, that's why we call, Dak Prescott Braveheart. But it's real fucking heroic to do all this stuff. But like when you're steadily playing behind the sticks, it's not a good sign. And somebody's going to get a hold of your ass and they're going to beat you. You know, they play behind the sticks offensively, they play behind the sticks defensively. A great way to get out of that, before I throw it back to the panel, is as DB said, play action on first down. And not only that, man, trot some more of these heavy packages out there, man. Spanford caught a touchdown for you, man. He deserves some more reps.
Get big.
Let's get it going. Stop being a pussy, as y'all said.
Joe,
I think that's what y'all said. I think y'all said stop being a pussy, right?
I said stop being a bitch.
Okay. Same shit.
Same thing. Yep. Joey, your response to the wild stat that the Cowboys haven't had a first quarter lead since October. How do you feel about that?
God, man, it speaks to what I said. Playing behind the sticks, and we know that really theoretically, let's think about it. The Cowboys are good, man, when they're front runners, right? Like I can remember Bill Walsh and George Allen on these old NFL films saying, oh, yeah, they're front runners. Yeah, one trick pony, they're front runners. We know what's a real good fucking trick. All right, jumping up on your ass, jumping up on your monkey ass and getting in front of you is a really good way to play. It's a real good way to play football, man. Out in front, putting the pressure on them. The 90s Cowboys, same shit. All right, you got to go back to Roger when they would come back on your ass. But they didn't relinquish leads either because their defensive line was so good. Same shit. Look, get out, play from in front. Put the squeeze on them, man. When you're in front, it literally tilts the scales. Okay, yeah, we're in front now. So, pressure's on you.
One of the keys and one of the things that I find the most irritating about NFL teams and head coaches in particular, and this is, I think, one of the things that distinguishes a good head coach from a bad head coach, and I've learned to train myself to observe it during a game. If I'm watching the Steelers, using myself as an example, and they wind up getting up 2 touchdowns, the second I feel myself go, the players are also going, right? The coach is also going, everybody's relaxing. The coach has to know that the second that he relaxes, that team is going to relax.
Right.
That's when the coach has to be conscious, get the team conscious to say, hey, don't fall the fuck to sleep. Maintain your intensity throughout this game.
Right.
60 fucking minutes. If I see you waning, you're coming the fuck out. I don't care who you are. Maintaining intensity through a game is key. You don't get a lead and let the other team come back and put yourself under the gun like fucking Pittsburgh did this week. We should have lost. Everybody in the NFL knows we should have fucking lost that game.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a great point, man.
Luck was on our side.
Yeah. And it falls that way sometimes.
Last graphic of the night, fellas, before we move on to our video review to cap off the show, and you don't want to miss that video review. We got Chat Sports clip on deck. We're going to respond to Chat Sports and some of what they had to say tonight about the Cowboys playoff chances fresh off the press. But we have an injury report. This may or may not be accurate in terms of spelling. This is not Chat GPT, but Notebook LLM. So pardon me if it's misspelled. But Tyler Guyton, I believe, is that from the outside line.
Yeah, he's the left tackle.
Offensive lineman, pardon me, is questionable, high ankle sprain. CeeDee Lamb listed as probable. That's good news.
That is great news.
Jadeveon Clowney, I got my tongue back together, is also listed as probable.
That's great news.
Malik Hooker, questionable, with a nagging issue limiting his snaps, basically a pitch count. So you may get to see him, but he may be limited at safety. And Trevon Diggs, awaiting a potential activation from injured reserve, is also questionable. So looks 50, like you may get some guys back.
Right.
Do you feel you can live without some of these players this week and maybe let Hooker, Diggs, and Guyton get a little healthier?
So, Diggs has been out 7-8 weeks now. So yeah, I mean, they've gotten to this point, where they are now. Yeah. I mean, because if he comes back, I want him as close to 100% as he could possibly be. Malik Hooker, it was a difference maker when he got back. I would love to see his level upgraded. I can do. Tyler Guyton is kind of a mixed bag. Given that Thomas has filled in pretty ably without him, Guyton has had his struggles healthy this year. I think that's going to be a real battle in camp next year in terms of the whole left tackle thing. Because I mean, Thomas and Guyton, and I'm really anxious to hear what Joey has to say on that particular deal. I think I can live with Nate Thomas getting back out there and handling his business and let Guyton get closer to 100% as they close this thing out.
I mean, the thing is they would love to have all these guys, but they played without all of them for extended periods of time. All right, and yeah, you'd love to have all of them. Again, on the Guyton thing, I'm probably beating a dead horse, but Tyler Smith ought to be your left fucking tackle. All right, you could have found a fucking guard anywhere instead of spending a first-round pick on a fucking tackle. All right. And Tyler Smith, he's 6'6". Anyway, whatever, man. Jerry got cute, and it's like, oh, guards make $8 million less. I'm gonna have him wear 73. It's a guard thing, man. Make it about football, man. Not about being cute. Now we look at it. Oh, well, shit, man. We don't know about our left tackle. That's a badass spot to be in. That's a crappy spot to be in. But they've done well with Thomas. Okay, they've won some games with Thomas. It's always tenuous, okay, with the left tackle position in that, but he has done well. I give him credit in terms of, look, you just don't want to see him get completely blown up and Dak get killed. Turnovers, injuries, the whole thing that goes with that. Think about Guyton. Guyton has been pretty solid run blocking. That's the thing. I think Guyton's a little bit better of a run blocker than Thomas is, but you got to live with it either way, man. Like as DB said, it's been a mixed bag, man. It's been no great shakes.
Right.
Okay. It's not, you can't, it's not, the performance has not been as good, as it has been on the interior with Booker, who is rapidly showing he's easily a top 5 guard as a rookie in this league. Solid draft pick. I mean, I would love to have just found another guy like that and swing the 6'6" long arm Tyler Smith out to left tackle. But what do I know? They played without these guys before. Would love to have all of them. And again, as DB said, man, the Clowney thing was bigger than people thought. Again, man, look, you start eating steak every day, and you weren't before, it's pretty good. And they say, well, you don't eat steak tonight. Well, damn, man, I was kind of getting used to the steak. I mean, the guy was helping out. Yeah, right? He was somebody that you could count on. Sack numbers up, and excellent setting of the edge and run defense.
At a position of need on that edge.
Yeah, the big position of need. A
Big
stout
position of
guy.
need. Yeah.
Yes, you need another little guy. You need a
Yeah.
fucking hybrid type. You need a guy with put his goddamn hand on the ground.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we need him.
There you go, family. Your excellent expert takes from our excellent expert analysts. We are nearing the conclusion of our show, but before we approach that particular, to me, will be a sad time tonight because I'm having a great time with you guys. We have a video reaction
Likewise,
we want to
brother.
do from
Okay.
Chat Sports. Pardon me for looking around like this and goosenecking, but I got to get the video lined up.
Right on.
All right. Yeah. Let me make sure we have visibility to it. I think we need to update the screen share. But while we're doing this, folks, make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe
Hit that button, man. Smash that shit.
hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a damn thing here
You know what time it is.
on Pass the Joint. And also head to @HoopJargon, as you see on the ticker there at the bottom, on YouTube, @HoopJargon, @HoopJargon. This man covers HBCU football, HBCU basketball, the Dallas Cowboys. He goes to the Super Bowl. He's Superman, I'm telling you. All right? Make sure you hit the Hoop Jargon and subscribe to his channel as well. Support that brother. And thanks again, Hoop Jargon, for the super chat tonight.
100%.
As we move on,
Shout out to Joe.
for sure.
We all like it very much.
This is Joey's favorite podcast, from what I hear.
Easy.
Uh,
I couldn't say that.
And we're going to take a listen. These guys have not seen this clip. I've not seen this clip. We're going to take a listen to what they say. But I'll let you in on a little secret, folks. Most of this show was derived from this video and one other video. So they're going to be covering very similar topics, just to give you a heads up. Let's spin the clip. Oh, before we get started, DB, Joey, anything comes up that you want to speak to, just give me an AO pause or whatever. I'll pause the video, you speak to it, and we go.
Right on.
All right, here we go.
Right on. I got you.
Uh-oh. Hold up, the audio, I couldn't hear the audio. It's muted up in the browser, pardon me. I was probably doing some sneaky shit earlier.
Rightfully written them off for dead. Like the video, please, and thank you if you want the Cowboys to somehow make the postseason. The Cowboys do sit as the 10 seed, quote unquote, in the NFC playoff picture. As we'll discuss, the path to the wild card is hard. The big ones to monitor are those 9 and 4 teams in the Niners and Bears. And then also, most importantly, the Philadelphia Eagles, who have dropped 3 straight games and now sit at 8 and 5. And look beatable and gettable in the division. The Cowboys' truly only viable path to the postseason, I believe, is an Eagles collapse, which we may already be in the midst of, and the Cowboys basically win out and win the division. That is how I emphasize the viable path. It's better than double that path versus the wild card in terms of the odds. The NY Times playoff sim here, 11% make the playoffs chance right now. The division is at 8%. Making the wild card is at 3%, and that'll change each game. And if the Eagles lose against the Raiders, it would probably jump even more than what the projected win boost is supposed to be, because it makes the Raiders look like a really bad team. This is your NFC East race. There isn't really any tiebreakers to worry about unless there's another tie, which I thought we were going to get last night, to be honest. I really thought I was going to do a lot of effort to figure out what the heck the tiebreakers are here. Eagles have a 1.5 lead over the Dallas Cowboys. 4 games to go. Can the Cowboys close that 2-game differential? Win out, Eagles lose 3. Win 3, Eagles win only 1. We'll see. Eagles lose 2 in the first one, by the way. Will the Cowboys win the NFC East? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. We are going to emphasize the Eagles since the bye. They barely beat the Packers 10-7. The offense was...
Joe?
Okay, so when you talk about, and listen, I want to say that I don't have anything against Tom Dowdy. He does do a good job with that podcast. Part of the network. To me, there's just certain formulated things that they do in terms of what to watch.
Hold on just a sec, Joe. You got a big echo, and so do I.
Yeah, where from? You got me now?
I wasn't hearing an echo.
I don't know if that's me, but
Yeah,
I'm massive echo with Joe and myself.
Close your mic
Check
for a second.
1 2.
Mike or I'm muted or what?
Muted.
Okay, is this am I good?
You still getting the echo, D?
I'm good. Hey, cool. So, I think a lot of this is formulaic, and we can all look at the schedule, and we can all project and so forth. All right. What happens on Straight No Chaser is we tell you how things are going to get done. All right. Whether it's my man Aaron Rodgers' timeline, when he breaks things down and takes you through what happens, okay, or my insane self, when I talk about general overall schemes and techniques that need to be executed as methods to achieve the goals, this is what we're talking about right here. Okay, you can project anything and guess anything. All right, and all that schedule, project, talk about roster moves, things that are done to the league, set the facts and so forth. That's fine and good. I appreciate the efforts of having the latest information. What we give you here is a way to watch football, a way to watch the game, and what to look for. We tell you what had happened was, and then we tell you what has to happen going forward, as evidenced by many of the graphics here tonight. They're different shows, okay? One is perfunctory news reporting, okay, as well as reviewing schedules and chances and then taking surveys and so forth. The other is an in-depth look at the 60 offensive snaps, the 60 defensive snaps, and the 25 special team snaps that go on during a football game that determine the outcome of said game. That's the major difference right there. We're not even going to get into 5-man fronts and all that, but that's how we get down here.
DV,
Right
you
on.
had a comment.
I'm sorry, sir?
You had a comment also.
Oh, well, just first of all, I agree totally with my man Joey's assessment on how we roll. That in terms of my man in the clip, I mean, the percentages are what they are. I think I've been individually pretty consistent in what I thought of Dallas's chances were, even amid the streak, because there was so much money left on the table. And the further we've gotten away from it, even looking at that graphic, right before we with the comment, I was looking at like those the wins that the Eagles had against the Green Bay and the Lions, right? Big wins. Ugly, those games were there to be able to, but somehow they found a way to win them. And then you look back at, the losses, and the more we get away from it, that Cardinals loss was when you look back at it, that was probably one that doomed the season, right? I mean, that's just a game. And let me throw this out, since we like to interject, nice little graphic pieces and whatnot. So because I saw this a couple days ago, amidst the Kyler Murray news that he's going to be shut down the rest of the year. They played 8 games without Kyler Murray. The Cardinals have. The Cardinals have gone 1-7 in those games. Guess who that one was against? That hurt. That Cardinals loss, the Carolina loss was bad. what have you. That Cardinals loss is probably the one that ultimately bites you in the ass, and where you missed the deal. And so and it's backed up by the statistical piece. So
It's hard to look back
So the Raiders
sometimes.
can beat the Eagles.
So yeah, I mean, I just think, just because of, there was just so much left, that they didn't take advantage of. It's just too much. I think ultimately it's gonna be, and they may make one hell of a run at it, but I think it's just too much to overcome. It's gonna run out of games to do it.
Yeah.
That said, to your earlier points, Ed, I mean, hey, any fucking thing can happen, and that's why you have to play it out. And until, if you're Dallas, and this is where I landed, and if you're Dallas, even though those percentages, are not at all in your favor, and they don't look great on paper. However, until you go through the standings and it gives that little X where it
That
says
little E.
eliminated,
Yeah.
damn right.
You better play
Then
hard.
you play it out. You play it out, and you let the results be what they are. But is it uphill? Yeah. But is it impossible? No. So you play it out and you keep going.
Now Philly's collapsing at the exact right time for you guys, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it might be a time of 3 teams in the NFC, 4 teams. Honestly, I think the NFC East is on the verge of being a super division.
No, go ahead.
Up there. It's coming. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you guys were the best division in football next year. Let's go ahead and get back to the clip.
Bad. They barely beat the Lions, 16-9. The offense was bad. They lose against the Cowboys. They were up 21-0 in that game, and boy, it sure kind of feels like that the Cowboys may have broken the Eagles in that matchup. They lose against the Bears, 24-15. They were again up in that game and closed. And after 5 Jalen Hurts turnovers, including 2 on the same play,
they didn't lose to bad teams. D. Brown, what say you?
Didn't lose to bad teams? No, they did not. It's been amazing. And I give credit where credit was due. Very premature in thinking when Dallas lost to the Bears, that's like, man, how the hell you lose to the Bears? The Bears have gotten their shit together. Ben Johnson's done one hell of a job with that team. Caleb Williams looks like he has arrived and found his NFL manhood. Yeah. He has become must-see TV with his escapability and playmaking ability. And that team there's no accident in the fact that they won 9 games to this point. So the point about
their offensive line was ranked 4th at the outset of the season, which is the reason I had them predicted to be where they are.
Yeah, and it's come to the fore, right? Mm-hmm. So no, they did not lose to bad teams. I did like the point that my man made in the clip and the portion we just watched about the Cowboys' loss breaking them somewhat. First of all, the fan in me and the Philly non-fan that I am loves hearing that shit.
To hear it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any calamity that comes to the Eagles at the hands of the Cowboys, in any portion, whether it's a teaspoon or a tablespoon, or a big gulp, I'll take it. But I think there's something to that, and that they just look, matter of fact, it just hit me when he read the score and he did his little recap. You're up 21-0. There's 2 sides of the psychology there. Those teams, it's blood and guts. They hate each other. And there was nothing more than Philly would want nothing more than to literally end, which they would have done in the Cowboys season, right then and there in front of their fans, and beat the living shit out of them, which they were doing to start that game. And for Dallas to literally shut the faucet off, leave them right there at 21 and come back and win that game, I don't think mentally, to my man's point in the clip, that they've recovered from that. I think that was actually a pretty nice point, and I'm here for it. I love to see it. I hope the mental decline continues because it keeps the season more and more interesting for my Cowboys. But I like the point that was made, and I think there's something to it.
I look at that schedule. That's murderer's row, and not
that's tough stretch.
Not that the Saints should have an easy go of it. They shouldn't.
Mm-mm.
But damn, somebody set them up. The whole NFC North.
But again, these were all
hold up. You gotta beat the NFC East and the NFC North.
Yeah.
Eagles. That's fucked up.
Yeah, because that's like that's what you get. You're going to run into you get a playoff San Francisco or somebody like that. Like that's what's going to happen. You run into a good team, but again, like how do you get there? How do you arrive there? How does it happen? You look at the Eagles; they lost a lot of close games. The problem with the Eagles right now, man, there are real problems that you can actually look at. Okay, again, we talked about the offensive line. Lane Johnson, best right tackle in the game, all-decade player, out.
And
all right,
I bet
we saw.
I bet they missed Kenneth Gainwell like a motherfucker.
And your man Dickerson, Pro Bowl guard, all right, he gets hurt. And when he comes back in, as I said earlier, man, wow, he struggled mightily. And Jordan Mailata, their other, top tier offensive lineman, he struggled big time. And there ain't no Kelsey to fall back on at center. All right. That's big when it's like that. It's deeper than the A.J. Brown thing. The thing about the Eagles that I look at, and again, it comes back to, Howie Roseman, all right, it's their defense is so good, right? Even without Jordan Carter, their defense is so good. You're like, Jesus, man, they got the Raiders and they got DC twice. Like, come on, man. I mean, like, seriously, the Buffalo one, I think Buffalo's going to get them, man. Buffalo is hard to beat in Orchard Park. All right, that's just a fact. All right, I think Buffalo's going to have something to play for. I think Buffalo's going to get their ass, man. Buffalo doesn't lose late season games at home. Not this Buffalo outfit, not with Allen and all these cats. No,
not with the snow
not happen. So I think Buffalo's going to get them, man. I feel really good about that. So, you live with the Raiders and then the 2 games against DC. Like, when your offensive line has problems, okay, and you're having trouble scoring, I just come back to the fact that teams know how to play that. Yeah, man, the odds are against it, but teams know how to play it. I've seen it happen so many times in the NFC East, right? Some team like the Giants or DC is out of it, and they play the Eagles, and they F around and knock them off. And it helps the Cowboys. I've seen that happen many a times, all right? And it can happen. Right, you get to these NFL games, you're like, oh, yeah, man, this is a walkover. And a lot of times late in the season when guys have lost guys, it is a walkover, all right? But then every now and then, right, Tommy Cutlets and the Giants show up and steal one, right? You know what I'm saying? And again, that's where you're at with it. That's realistically what you have to hope for. Again,
right.
We also like to focus on how that happens. We think the Eagles will have a problem, and the Cowboys show up there to win these next game.
Thank you for that excellent take, Joey. D. Brown, anything to add before we spin the clip?
Yeah, go right ahead, Bob.
All right.
Which is unbelievable and has never been done in the NFL, I believe, a pick and a fumble on the exact same play. The Eagles lose against the Chargers in overtime in this recent run that they have been on. The Eagles are averaging less than barely 14 points per game. It is a huge issue right now in Philadelphia that the defense is still very good. They sacked Herbert 7 times in the game. And then the offense is terrible. And it's not just the play caller, by the way. The quarterback's having a very tough time of it as well. Their schedule, though, isn't that hard. A game against the Raiders, 2 games against the Commanders, one of which is on Saturday in Week 16. Noteworthy. Week 17, they play the Buffalo Bills. That is a road game, by far their toughest game left, and frankly, a game I don't expect them to win. So can they drop one of these other 3 games? Raiders and twice against the Commanders, all of whom are out, or both of whom are out of the playoff picture. That's what the Cowboys need if they can get back to their winning ways. Since the bye, the Cowboys have won 3 of 4 games. They went 2-1, which is what I'm always aiming for on that brutal 3 games in 11-day stretch. Easier said than done. Boy, you sure wish you would have beat the Lions. Or really, you wish you'd beaten the Cardinals pre-bye, frankly. Cowboys defense still has massive concerns. The Cowboys defense and the Eagles offense is the worst team in football. The Cowboys offense and the Eagles defense might not have lost a game this year. Anyway, Cowboys scheduled on the stretch. They play the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers in Week 16. The Commanders in Week 17 on Christmas Day. And then Week 18 at the Giants. So we're cheering for the Commanders every game but one, essentially, down the stretch here. It is not easy, but the door is open for the Cowboys. More on this to come, but today's show is made possible.
They ain't paying us.
Again.
Right. Right on.
Yeah. Joey, you had a comment.
It's you got to fill time. All right. You know, when you're doing a podcast, even if it's a short one, like Tom and those boys do over there. And again, I don't have any hatred for them. All right. But they've got to fill a podcast. Okay. They fire off graphics, project, look at the schedule, speculate. I mean, that's all fine and good. Right. All right. I'm totally cool with that. Like I said, nothing against them. But again, like what we do here, man, is just a lot different and a lot more in depth. All right. We focus on how things are going to happen, if they are going to happen. And yeah, man, I mean, I appreciate the fact that he's giving realistic views in terms of percentages and so forth. But again, DB, and I'm going to throw it to you, DB. When we were coming up and the Cowboys were, 6-4 in 78, not looking too good, having lost on Thanksgiving Day to Earl Campbell and the Oilers. Oh my God, Super Bowl champs. They're 6-4. They might not even win the East. What the hell's going to happen? And they needed to win out. Were we privy to any graphics that fired off percentages and shit?
No, absolutely not. No.
And again, a lot of that goes to being, fandom and being fans of the Cowboys and believing that they can win out. And yeah, man, this is a different outfit than that. All right. But again, these analytics, okay, don't take into account emotion and how teams are playing. All right. And to me, when I look at it with Philadelphia, like, again, their defense is so good, man. They're one game away to me being a glass empty guy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you need out.
What's this guy's name again?
They have to.
I've seen it multiple times. I've watched it right now. It's not going to come.
Can't recall. No matter. Let's go ahead and spin the clip.
Have a chance to make the playoffs, but from a practicality perspective, they're going to have to. I think it'd be asking too much for the Commanders and the Raiders to win a combined 2 games, even if the Bills do, against the Eagles and make the postseason. So in reality, they have to win their remaining 4 games. Not easy, by the way. It would also mean the Cowboys end the year on an absolute heater. They would have gone 7-1 in that time frame, which is an incredible stretch for any team. Shows you how bad they began the year. Even if you go 6-2 down the stretch, I feel like that gives you a lot of confidence going into next year. But even if the Cowboys win out.
Real quick, is that realistic?
Winning out?
7-1 down the stretch or 6-2 down the stretch?
I mean, we've talked about numbers.
I think it's possible.
Right? And the percentage of the numbers, what the numbers and scenarios for our show is minimal compared to, like my man is doing. No disrespect. It's just really basic.
Gotcha. Let's spin the clip.
That's on the NY Times playoff machine sim. 50.
What'd you say, Joe?
I mean, we know all this. Talk about what it would be with 7-1. What like chances are. But like, what has happened? The Senate direction. Why are we losing 8? All right. What do the Cowboys need to do to win these 4 games? We get into all of these specifics as to what needs to happen and what is and what to look. Eagles look for continued on the offensive.
It's a little.
And that's a great thing for Cowboys.
It's a little difficult to understand you, Joey. I don't know if you can put one headphone back in or both, but that would be helpful. Let's go ahead and spin the clip.
4% chance to make the playoffs. They need a lot of help still. Now, if the Eagles lose against the Raiders, all of a sudden we're at 85% if the Cowboys win out. Because the odds are still against the Cowboys, even if they win all 4 of their remaining games. But the vibes are bad in Philly. Go figure, the positivity bunny didn't work. Who amongst us is surprised by that one? This could be a potential 2023 Eagles collapse. The big difference, Eagles defense is actually really good, and they can win games by themselves.
DB?
No, I just emphasize the point where he said this is like 23. We referenced that a little bit earlier. But he made a great point right after that about the differences in defense. Yeah, go ahead and spin it.
Especially against the Commanders and the Raiders. So will the Cowboys win their final 4 games of the season? 4 for yes, 3 for no. They're going to end up dropping one. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'd be remiss if I did not at least mention the slim path that exists for the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card. Even if they win out to get a wild card, they have a 17% chance. The amount of help required here is a little bit too much. Now the Panthers and Bucks, at minimum, one of those teams is going to finish with 8 losses, and that would take the other one out. So you'd be okay there. You're not really too worried about the Bucks or Panthers, but the Rams and Seahawks have 10 wins. The Niners and Bears and the Packers have 9 wins. The Lions are ahead of you with 8 wins. The Panthers technically as well. You need a collapse from, frankly, 2 of the remaining playoff teams. That's why that Lions win.
Flowy.
This is a series of undisputed crawls. That's what this is. This is a series of undisputed crawls, right? Like when the Cowboys is 3-0, right? Are the Cowboys contenders? This is a series of undisputed first take, get up. It's a series of crawls with these questions, right? To which are very just questions. Do polls and shit like that. People say, you watch to find out. You know what I'm saying? These are obvious questions. Again, man, we're talking about nuts right here. We're talking about nuts and bullshit. What needs to happen? Who needs to come? Who needs to go? What's going to happen? What is happening? All right? To watch the game on a real level, man, and know what to look for. Right? Like linebackers. Linebackers. Right? You know what to look for in that. We've seen that. Okay, these are things to look for. When they get we're telling you what to look for. You see this early on. The teams will make adjustments. Okay? Throughout the game, trying to help you to enjoy the game more. Play by play, man. Every step of the way. I know what technique, but it's cool, man, because we bring shit all back to this general timeline when he lines out how shit goes, and I come back and say, well, this way. I'm telling you. Our goal is to help watch the game and help you score. Believe me, we enjoy it.
All right, let's spin that clip.
Would have mattered because you essentially would have helped the Lions get out of the way. You would need, in reality, these teams to lose all these games. Like, are the Bears are maybe the team to monitor here. Browns this week, and then very tough games against the Packers, Niners, and Lions. Well, this is part of the conversation of why those odds are so low.
Were you guys aware that you had to monitor the Bears this week?
Absolutely.
His stuff is for fan base. It's for people that need updates. All right, our stuff is people that really want to watch the game and see what the hell is happening. Have an idea of what they're looking at, what to look for ahead. Make it completely unavailable all the way around. Those are my feelings.
This is his guide to getting to the playoffs, and Joey, he's just basically trying to say that if the Cowboys are going to make it, something's going to need to happen that involves the Bears. So he's laying that out for you. I'll go ahead and spin the clip.
The Lions play the Bears. So even if the Bears lose that game, the Lions going to win. You kind of need like multiple outcomes of like specific results in specific games here because of the way things set up. The Rams schedule makes me think they're going to be in. We're probably just cheering for the Rams if you want to keep that very minimal wild card hope and dream alive because they play the Lions in Week 15. Also the Seahawks too, by the way. Packers have the Broncos, then the Bears at this point.
Damn,
You're either cheering for the Packers to lose every single game, or if they beat the Broncos, like cheer for them over the Bears to like keep the Bears down a little bit. Seattle, meanwhile, against maybe Phillip Rivers. Super fun there. Not that hard of a schedule. I'm kind of giving the Seahawks and Rams two the spots. Packers get a spot. I kind of think the Niners get a spot too. Because they got the Titans this week, a Colts team on the brink, the Bears again. Again, this is why it's hard to make the wild card because someone's getting a win. Or a tie, and then you lose tiebreakers against the Bears, so it doesn't even help you that much. Seattle in Week 18 going to be a tough one too. The Lions schedule isn't the easiest. I could see them kind of falling out here. That Steelers game might be your swing game if they can't beat the Rams, but then it's the Vikings and the Bears. Again, I'll make note of the Panthers and Bucks here briefly, just back to back. Saints, the Seahawks game, whatever. The Bucks schedule.
My bad.
It's a 14-minute joint and 8 minutes of schedule shit. Anybody can see anywhere, anytime you want. All right. It's jamming up percentages into projected win scenarios. Okay, which again, go to ESPN.com and test this thing. And I get it. You got time. But
Oh, no.
this is a different audience,
My
man.
dog got a
Different
pee.
audience. All right. This audience is casual. All right. That's whose audience is casual fan. All right. You want to update. It's cool, man. I hate it, man. I mean, it's just saying.
You gotta give the people what they want.
Word to the OJs.
And if you got beef, give them that goddamn beef. Don't be shy. Give it to them. Tell us how you really feel. Know what I mean? Fuck them motherfuckers is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just different.
All right, so we'll make it brief. They have a rooting guide here. I kind of appreciate this. These are basically the teams that you should root for over the others if you want the Cowboys to win this weekend. We're talking Raiders over Eagles, Browns over Bears, Titans over 49ers, Rams over Lions, Colts over Hawks, and the Broncos over the Packers. That's going to be a really good game. I'd like to check that out myself. But, yeah, fellas, that's the gist of that video. I think we can call that a reaction.
That's his fans. You feel me? That's his fans. His fans need to know that.
Those are his fans for now.
I mean, that's what his fans need. His fans need updates.
Those are his fans for now.
We tell you what it is here.
I don't know if you noticed, but last night Speakeasy was on at the exact same time that Nightcap was on, and they took 10,000 people from them.
Wow, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. That was wild.
That's it.
You're looking at the new Home Depot, family. We're going to do what Home Depot did to Lowe's, and Lowe's did to Home Depot in return. Where they pop up, we pop up. This is Zen Master, D Brown to my bottom left, Floey, Joe Flo to my top left. I got in these veneers, they're really uncomfortable. This has been another episode of Straight No Chaser. We will be back Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Cowboys Standard Time. Fellas, what time do the Cowboys play on Sunday?
Area night. Cowboy talk.
What time they play?
No. What time do the Cowboys play on Sunday, Joey?
That is a Sunday night game, sir.
Night game. That's right. Sunday night
See, you're
football.
trying to catch me off guard there. See if I couldn't deliver schedule stuff like our friends over on Chat Sports. I'm up on it. That's a Sunday night game, sir.
Yep.
Okay,
NBC,
so we're going to be very early.
You want schedule updates, we'll give them to you.
Yep, make sure you catch the game previews. We'll be very early on that.
No doubt.
I got a Monday night game myself, so I will definitely be watching the Cowboys on Sunday with you. Maybe we'll do a watch party. You never know.
Never know.
Stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell.
Tell your peoples.
Don't forget to head to Hoop Jargon. The address is at the bottom, at Hoop Jargon on YouTube. Subscribe to that man's damn channel. We'll see y'all in the next go round. Peace, fellas.
Go Cowboys.
We out.